Hi, everybody. We're getting a few just coming in, few just connecting there as well. Just to let you know, the first beer we'll be tasting is going to be our Oktoberfest collaboration brew. So, as always, we'll talk our way through all the beers. Trying them, don't feel you need to drink them, straight away as we go through. You can always come back and find this one online afterwards on YouTube too. We will have, as you can see from the box, there's some big flavor beers in here between the chai pour and the Badakers. So if you got some water, if you are tasting any of them in between, always a good shout as well. It's a good one. Yeah, we're already off to a good start there, Joe. Thank you. It's glad to hear. We're just getting the last few in, and people are going through. I'm sure we'll get some more joining steadily as always. My name's James. I'm the export manager at Thornbridge Brewery. We've got Charlotte, our social media and marketing coordinator, and we're joined tonight by our special guest, Alex, who's come to join us to tell us all about Full Circle, all about the Oktoberfest as well, and very pleased to have you on. Thank you for taking the time, Alex. It's much appreciated. I need to crack open mine myself as well. And seeing as looks like people's coming online steadily here as well, so I reckon we tuck in. We don't want anyone getting too thirsty. So as I mentioned, the first beer we're going to be talking about here is our collaboration. So Alex, if you don't mind, tell us how it all worked. Of course, it was made at your brewery, all created there as well. So please talk us through the beer.
Yeah, so we've been chatting for a while with Thornbridge about doing a beer together. And it was coming up to Oktoberfest. We had about 9 weeks till it would need to be released, and we just thought, let's just go for it. We hadn't done an Oktoberfest beer before. I believe Thornbridge have done a couple, but we thought it was a great opportunity, and we were having an event at our tap room, so we'd love to have poured our own beer. And we went down quite a traditional route of basically a Marzen style Oktoberfest beer, about 6%, quite a nice kind of golden colour. Left it unfined, and with our brew kit, we're able to do a step mash, which is kind of a traditional German method, and we're also able to do a decoction, which is another traditional method to try and recreate some of the kind of more traditional flavors in there. But apart from that, it's pretty traditional in terms of hops. It's got Tettnang in. We use our normal house lager yeast. And we left it in tank for about 8 or 9 weeks. And then it was packaged and sent off to multiple Oktoberfest events and also your beer club, which was great to see as well. And Full Circle, we've been around for 2 or 3 years now. Still relatively new. We're based up in Newcastle in the northeast. Opened up first weekend of the lockdown, which is a terrible time to open. Times now aren't much better. It's just a different type of crap, basically. But we're having a great time up here. Starting to do a lot more festivals. And hopefully you've seen us at a festival. I'm not too sure. We haven't done that many down south, but lots of We Are Beer festivals and Brew London and stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've seen you out and about. As you say, you were, of course, down at Peakender. So,
yes, yeah.
We had Virginia down tasting and talking all things, Full Circle and about the beers as well. So it was all good to have her down, and along as we know her very well down at Thornbridge Brewery. So it was good. It was well received, and so far, tucking into the beer, it's been very great. It's been good in the box. We've had lots of really good feedback as well. It's a good one, said Joe at the start, and then Callum has asked any particular Oktoberfest Marzen this was inspired by. Would there be anything particularly?
Not really. We just looked at a couple of kind of key characteristics we were looking for. We used a bit of Cara Munich, which is a crystal version of Munich in there, so it has got a little bit of sweetness in there, and I think it was also about 20% Munich malt, so it is very bready and biscuity, and that's kind of exactly what we wanted. It reminded us of the kind of Oktoberfest beers that we probably drank maybe 10 years ago, and we really enjoyed. We may look at doing more of a stronger, just kind of straight up pale lager next time, but no, that's exactly what we wanted to create.
Good. Yeah, well, hopefully that answers it. Callum, as always, as well, guys. Just any questions you've got, unmute yourself, shout them out, give us any questions, or just pop them in the chat there, and we'll make sure we talk about them as well. And so, I mean, you mentioned it's been an interesting few years since you guys set up, but you're certainly doing very well so far. And I know your beers are always fantastically well reviewed whenever we see them. And you do well, of course, across rate beer and everything too. Have you got any favorite beers? Is there one that you would suggest from your core range that anyone should look out for? Any specials coming up after in the near future?
Yeah, so Looper is our core IPA, and it's probably the one that we kind of, I wouldn't say became famous for, but that was the one we became known for. It's the one that we put our favorite hops in, so it's got Citra Mosaic and Cashmere. Really easy drinking, 6.4%, and we like to think it's up there with some of the best core IPAs out there. And that leads to some of our other favorite beers. So we've got Duper, which is our double IPA version of Looper, which gets released once a year and was actually brewed this week in time for our 3rd birthday, the end of November. And we normally bring back another favorite beer of ours, and that'll change every year. But this year it's called Kodiak, which is an imperial brown ale. About 8%, went down really well. I mean, it was a strange beer to try and launch ourselves on, because brown ales don't sell very well, especially imperial ones, but it's something that we were really keen on doing. We've tweaked the recipe a little, so instead of having just normal dextrose in there, we've added some lovely light cane muscovado sugar, which should come across really nice. Brew day smelled amazing, and we managed to get the fullest tank we've ever got. So hopefully that should come out really well. And then got a couple of other exciting beers coming out. We've got a collab with Tartarus, which will be a Yorkshire Parkin Imperial Stout, coming in 12.5%. And that's got a load of treacle in, a load of dark brown sugar in, some fresh ginger in the whirlpool, and then some nutmeg and allspice in the kettle. So no extracts in that, just purely just ingredients out the hot side. And it's got a lovely consistency of kind of like treacle or oil. So we're really happy with that. And we're putting some rum barrels, and our Imperial Brown Ale, we are also putting in a rye whiskey barrel, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. It might be a sherry barrel as well. We were trying to get hold of a maple barrel, but they're quite difficult to come by.
Yeah, fair. But still, I mean, they sound perfect beers to barrel age as well, to be fair. So are you just sort of going to give them a few months, see how they're getting on? Is there and then release them after that? Can we keep an eye out on your socials, basically?
Yeah, I mean, we try and release some barrel aged beers every at least maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So we've got a barley wine which is aged in red and white port barrels. That's going to be released in the next couple of weeks as soon as we sort labels for them.
Nice.
We've got a cherry saison in a red wine barrel, which should hopefully get released either towards the end of this year or early next year. And then a tropical sour in a tequila barrel, which should be hopefully released maybe Q1 or Q2 next year. We don't have much space for barrels, but if there is anything suitable, we will try and find a barrel to match. And it's amazing what type of barrels are out there. Like I said, we know we can get hold of maple barrels, and I think that would be really interesting, and like a maple imperial stout or something. Even Tabasco barrels could make for an interesting beer. I'm not quite sure what, but it keeps coming up on the list of available, and could make for an interesting one.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I mean, all of those, as you say, especially the tequila barrels and things, we've got our own series. We've played around with our stouts as well in sort of rum and Pedro Jimenez and stuff like that. And it is amazing the depth it adds to it, that extra flavor you can get. But yeah, tequila barrels is always quite a fun one, I think, too. And Yeah, it's I'm excited. That's good. Like I say, we'll keep an eye out on your socials. Is there a mailing list or anything as well? Have you got?
There is, if you just pop onto our website, which is fullcirclebrew.co.uk, then you can sign up for the mailing list, and I will look to see if we can get a discount code. If you're happy to distribute that for us, and we'll look to see if we can get a discount code for everyone of a purchase between now and Christmas, which would be great.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, please let us know. It's always nice to have them and people to go and try, new beers and exciting sounding beers there as well. Definitely perfect in the run up for Christmas. Some of those big dark beers, I imagine too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Especially we're really excited about the Imperial Stout with Tartarus. It's the biggest beer we've ever made, and
yeah,
it's just wonderfully thick, and it just pours like oil. Really excited about that one.
Nice, good. Oh, fantastic. We'll keep an eye. And what was the name of that beer? Sorry, I know you mentioned, of course, the Club with Tartarus. But...
as it's a ginger parkin beer, it's called Parkin at the Moon.
Nice.
And I think traditionally ginger parkin is eaten in Yorkshire on bonfire night.
It is, absolutely.
Released just before then.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic, good timing as well then. So yeah, I'll Parking at the Moon. I like that. We'll keep an eye out as well there. So is that the main collabs you've got coming up then for the rest of the year?
What have we got? We've got a collab with Play Brew, who are a brewery quite close to us in Middlesbrough. And apart from that, I think that's about it for the next couple of months. We've done so many collabs and we've been everywhere. We're just keeping things relatively quiet over the next few months, just while we lead up to Christmas and get stocked up and hopefully have a busier Christmas than last year.
Oh, well, can't blame you. And for anyone who's, I've not been myself, I'm a bit sad. I need to come up to the brewery proper to see the big tap room as well. It's very well known for the high quality, people who go up and visit. So it's on my list to go up to. I've never been to Newcastle, which I don't know why. I need to go up that way generally. So I'll be up there hopefully soon, maybe around Christmas. And yeah, it's fantastic. I'm sure to pop up there as well. So if anyone hasn't had the chance, beat me to it, please. And then I'll come up and we can talk about how good it was as well. So
I've just actually spotted there's someone wearing a band t-shirt from Newcastle called Pigs.
Nice. Good. Did you all getting in there? Everyone's well prepared here as well. So that's well done. And then just taking a quick look, we've got some messages on the side there. So Callum saying, the barrel-aged strawberry and starfruit daiquiri sounds very interesting. Tom and Joe like the sound of all of these as well. Tina had an anonymous benefactor send her full circle cancer in lockdown. So that's very good. Well done. So yeah, lots of love for it. And I mean, again, you mentioned the beers pouring there at Peak Ender as well. Repeater, I know, went down when we were drinking our way through to, especially at Peak. It's nice to take them a bit sessionable sometimes as well. It can be a long day out in the fields as well too. So
I'll make that next year. I think my son was probably 2 weeks old at that point, so I was not leaving.
That's very fair. Well, hopefully next time bring him along. His first weekender next year. So and then we'll be there. We'll be pouring beers all weekend too. So thank you. If you want to share the code around as well, and then I mean we'll I know you mentioned some might also be calling you off at any point too. So we don't want to take up too much of your time, but if you're hanging out with us, and if anyone has any more questions for Alex, please shoot them in the chat again. And Paul just saying, loving the Oktoberfest, really rich and full of flavor. So yeah, it's going down very nicely. That good ABV in it, I think, for the flavor.
To show what you can make with a lager, and there's just so much variety out there, and it shouldn't just be kind of pigeonholed as like just normal keg lager and Carlin. There's just a massive world out there for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the right time of year for something like that, of course, for an Oktoberfest too. So can't make it over, then at least we can celebrate ourselves here. So it was fun. I know the guys enjoyed putting everything together with you and the team there. And we're very, very happy with the results when we get the count in and we're able to share it with everyone too. So yeah, thank you again very much. It's been good. Tom saying as well, he's not been up there yet either to visit. So glad it's not just me, Tom, but we'll all, I'm sure we'll be making our way up there in time. So if anyone is out and around that area in the Newcastle way, please swing by the tap room there and send us some photos, tell us how great it is as well in there too. So, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, thank you, Alex. We'll talk about some of the other beers as well. But again, please, any questions or Alex, anything else you want to jump in with, please feel free throughout as well. Simon, well beyond what anyone expects from a lager, really great. That's always good to hear. Yeah, as you say, Alex, sometimes lager can be one that people maybe dismiss too easily. So when you drink things like this, it just shows, you know, a long lagering time, as you mentioned, it takes a lot of care and attention to make any lager and make them well, but it's certainly been done here. So worth all of that time and attention to it too. But as we go through, we'll talk, we'll wet our lips a little more with some of the other beers we have in the box. So as always, we've got a full range of them, and please let us know your favorites if you've started drinking them already on the side there. But the first one we have of the Thornbridge core beers there is the Quiet Storm Equinox as well. So this one, as you may well know, I recognize lots of faces from people having joined us before on here. But the Quiet Storm series has now been going for quite a while for us. We've tried a huge range of them. Hopefully they're being well enjoyed. Let us know your favorites. Again, always please feed back to us too. And this one, the Equinox, so originally known as Equinox for a little while, they had to have a bit of a name change. But this came out in around 2014 over in the US. And they were brewing this style with, they even talk about this one getting a little bit of red berries. For me, there's like a real nice, it's almost like a sweetness to it, I think, that comes through quite well. It is that classic kind of lemony, grapefruit, pineapple, but something a little soft, a little sweet on it as well. I enjoy the way it, and the mouthfeel and the drinkability for it too. So it's a good, very crisp and clean. I've been enjoying the Quiet Storms and the way that they kind of showcase these different hops as always. And they're certainly going to continue. So we have lots of hops planned in that we haven't used yet, lots of hops down the line. Anything, as always, we're open to suggestions if you've got any fun ones that you know of. But this one for me is a very crisp, very clean. It's a nice, easy drinker as well too. So got Steve there just mentioning my kind of lager on the Oktoberfest. Definitely, it is one that's, I say all the feedback so far has been very positive. When we do the collabs, you know, we send our cans, so we'll have people come and visit us. We brew with them, we send them the cans after, and vice versa as well. So you see the process right through. You make sure you're there and understanding it all. But the proof's in the pudding, of course. So when you sat there really enjoying it, you know it's been done well. So yeah, the Oktoberfest went down very well for us. And the Quiet Storm Equinox, hopefully some enjoyment as well. The Sabro was a good one for Joe. So at the moment, there's no current rebrew plans. Of course, there's so many different hops out there, but it's always good to know people's favorites for when we do come back to that as well. The Sabro was great because it is known as being such a divisive hop. There is that real love-hate that people have for Sabro. So when we brought it out, actually, we were impressed. It was certainly much more people really enjoying that one than almost we expected. So glad to hear you enjoyed that. Again, anyone else with them, let us know. There was that range. For me, I enjoyed the Nelson Sauvin. When we tried that one originally for the Quiet Storm, we gave it a bit of a haze to it. We already do beer, of course, the Kipling, which is all Nelson Sauvin. So we tried something a little different, made it really hazy, double dry hopped. And for me, I'm always a bit of a sucker for the Nelson Sauvin. So that one worked really well for me, I thought, too. One beer, actually, I also meant to mention, if you've seen, of course, Chiron has come back now. So Chiron was a big favorite of mine years ago. We used to do it cask, keg, bottle as well. And for the first time in 330 ml cans. So I made sure straight in the shop last week, bought myself a case, and I was enjoying those through the weekend at home. And so, yeah, make sure to get out and try that one. If you haven't had it before, I'm sure most of you being big Thornbridge fans have tried our Chiron before as well. But that's our 5% American Pale Ale too. Tom recommended the Galaxy one to someone in the Colmore earlier this afternoon. Oh, thank you for that. I'm sure he was in there, and Nelson Sauvin too as well. So yeah, it's those sort of hazy ones as well. Of course, we do the Galaxia too, so we want to try something again, to showcase the hop in a little bit of a different matter as well there. And yeah, so Quiet Storm series has just continued to go very nicely for us as well. So the one thing we're running out of, we have loads of hops, but of course is colors. So Charlotte was putting a nice video, a reel on our Instagram, actually with all the different colors together, and they do look fantastic. But then we scratch our heads and we look at them, we're like, we need to invent some more colors or something, because we're now getting through the labels quite quickly. So you'll see some more exciting colors coming out with them, but certainly those hops as well too. And now, so when we've gone through the Quiet Storm, and this one that we'll talk about next is Jaipur. So as much as, I mean, Jaipur is our beer, it's the one we're known for. I've got my Jaipur jumper on at the moment, of course. It's I'm actually wearing a Jaipur t-shirt underneath it as well. So it is our beer. It's the one, you know, it makes up a huge percent of our production. Every country we go into, it's the most popular beer we get the most demand for. And yeah, it's always fantastic to see, but it doesn't mean that we can't have some fun with it. You know, we like to play around with it. We like to do different things. We went for the double dry hop Jaipur. We put it in all formats as well. But we talked about Jaipur, and at first it was a bit of a like, oh, you know, we love the idea of this. You know, we want to be able to play around with it. And I mean, if you've tried it already, let me know what you think. I think it's a really fun version of our flagship beer, and the way that we're able to bring those flavors out, I think, and really kind of highlight the American hop base that we have in there already. So you'll know the flavors of Jaipur, I'm sure, if you're, you know, if we're on our Thornbridge Beer Club tasting. But the way that it does, as I say, it works so nicely. So you see it, you think in Jaipur straight away. So it's still all low color Maris Otter. Still got that great, really retentive head on the top there. Fantastic clarity to it. And then instantly, just on the aroma, you start to get, it's almost like it's that chai spice in there. It's almost a little kind of sharp juniper to me. It isn't in there, but that's kind of what my first reaction is to it. And then, of course, you start to get in that cinnamon, there's cardamom. There's just a whole host of big spices we have in here. And it is that real, you know, that chai, that tea that comes through on the end there as well. And I think it all plays very well. You start to get it in the mouth, swill it around a little bit. It's a beer. I think it does need a lot of thinking and, you know, enjoying as well as you work your way through this one, and pull out that Jaipur from it too. So you think about how the Jaipur works. You think about those classic Jaipur flavors that you would know beforehand. And then, of course, added into the whole spice racker there as well. So hopefully people have been enjoying this. Again, please let me know what you're thinking in the chat on the side there as well. So yeah, Paul, saison slightly. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's just that spicy, almost like an earthiness that comes with the tea. And there's just so much fun flavor going on it as well. Tom agrees there, Paul, as well. Alan, got Jaipur socks on. Very good. It's I do not have my Jaipur socks on today. I have my Pardus socks on yesterday. So maybe I should buy my own clothes. I don't know. But I've got enough Thornbridge ones that fit me nicely. So Gary and Joe really enjoyed it. Callum, yeah, glad you haven't overdone the spice. Bit more pepper, yeah, possibly. So again, we always talk through after we've had them as well. And it is key just to not overdo them. We want to say, okay, it is balanced. We want you to be able to say, okay, this is still Jaipur, but it's just got these extra oomph in there too. Tom, yeah, expecting good things, but much better. Thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed those there. Expecting a little more chai tea and sweetness as well, I suppose. But again, with that nice bitter body underneath it to start, maybe it's coming in with that first as well there too. Slow grower and enjoyed it in the end. Well, thank you, Steve. I'm glad you enjoyed it too. So good feedback so far from everyone. And definitely when we first sort of mentioned it, like we were very excited about it, but there is always that slight worry of playing with, you know, the big beer as well with Jaipur too. So I'm glad the feedback's been good. We know, of course, certainly not everyone's going to enjoy every beer we do. And it's always good to get nice feedback though. For me particularly, very refreshing, really enjoy just sitting down with it and thinking about Jaipur and the way it opens up as well too. So very pleased to see, yeah, people enjoying that one. And so as we sort of talked about, I mentioned Chiron earlier is coming back. If you've been in the online shop recently, there's lots of autumn offers on at the moment on different beers that you can find in there as well, as we're all sort of tucking in. And I'd say not going out quite as much. Our big event season is finished for the time being now, but if you get the chance, for any Sheffielders or nearby, we will be at Steel City Beer Festival next week. We're one of the sponsors for the festival. Fantastic, very long-standing Camera Beer Festival in Sheffield. We've won it a few times with Jaipur and Cocoa Wonderland. I think Wild Raven as well a few years back when we first launched it too. So it's always got a special place. I'm going to try and make my way down on the Friday, I think. I've got some friends headed down there, so I'm going to try and join them. I know we'll have a lot of the team down there on Wednesday night, Thursday night possibly as well. But we will also, if you've been following our socials and our news as well, you'll see we have, we brought back Pale Rider. So if you have seen it, Kellam Island Brewery, unfortunately got into some financial trouble and had to close earlier this year. And they're a real, for Sheffield as a city, they're such a landmark brewery. They're one everyone from Sheffield knows, they know very well. I spent a year in Rochester in New York State as part of my degree, working in a fantastic craft beer bar. And I only got that because of Dave Wickett, who owned Kellam Island, actually opened and operated this pub over in the US and got students from Sheffield Hallam to go over there for a year. So for me, it was integral to everything. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, but left a fantastic legacy. And so with the unfortunate news with Kellam Island, Simon and Jim, the two owners of Thornbridge, were keen that it wouldn't all go to waste, and they wanted to step in and help out. So with Thornbridge and also a team from Sheffield to continue the legacy really of Pale Rider particularly, and we will be relaunching the beer Pale Rider at Sheffield Beer Festival and at the Fat Cat, which was also the Kellam Island Brew Pub. So for any of you who've had the chance to try it, it was Champion Beer of Britain back in 2004. And yeah, you'll be down there. If you are down there, pop in and they'll be pouring the beer, and at the festival as well. I'm not sure it'll last that long. I know they've got a few of them at the festival, but it's going to be very popular, I think. So yeah, really good news for that too. So and then, yeah, Steve, great news about Callum, thank you, and Tom as well, very pleased. So yeah, we were excited about it, and hopefully you've seen the news there. Ian, good to see you guys at Bearded Theory. Yeah, one of the favorites. It's always a fun festival, lots of very exciting, I suppose, different acts and things going on, and yeah, very good to be pouring our beers there. So we'll get back into festival season a little bit down the line too. But for the time being, definitely come and see us over at Steel City Beer Festival. There should definitely be a few of us each night down there. So if you are, come and say hello as well. So perfect. So hopefully people are enjoying their way through the chai pour. And it is that smell and that taste, and it opens up a little bit as well as you go too, and you do get more of that tea and that balance from it as well. And so we'll talk about the next beer here. And when I'm working through the sort of order that we're going to try the tasting in, each evening, most of the time we'd go kind of in ABV order, but move around a little bit. But because this is a smoked porter, it's only 5.3, so it's not quite as strong as the chai pour. However, it is a big, bold flavored, smoked porter as well. So I thought this would be quite nice to try after the chai pour. So we could really appreciate that one with all that tea and those extra spices first, and then move on to being able to try the Baddock as well, the smoked porter afterwards too. So this one you may well have had before. It's been a beer that we brewed for a good number of years ago now. So one of our lead brewers, Ben, he was sort of the mind behind this one. He was really keen. We often at the brewery have in Beechwood smoked malt. We get it in from Bamberger. And we love, playing around with it. We put little bits in some of our imperial stouts just to kind of give you that little balance, that little extra character and flavor in there as well. And with this one, we really wanted to just ramp that up as well. So you do get that real smoky, you almost describe it as like a peaty kind of aroma coming through. when you look at it, it is very dark, this one. So sometimes you get more of a readiness. This one a little less than you would normally. You get that tan head right through the top here as well. And, the brewers at Thornbridge really love brewing porters. They specialize in brewing fantastic dark beer styles, from market porter right through to, big cocoa wonderland and everything else as well. So the chance to do it and just have a little bit of a play around, not adding anything in, not going down that full pastry stout route, but just putting something more classic in there as well. So this is beach smoked. So it is literally just malt that we're adding in. It's been smoked in advance, and it helps to play with those flavors on there. So that kind of classic flavors you'd expect from this sort of beer style. There'll be a light roastiness, but not too much in there particularly. But then on top of that, you're going to get more of this like kind of dark fruit will come through. You'll get a little treacle, caramel, that nuttiness, almost coffee in there. And then, of course, that smoke just to balance through. But as you can imagine, all those flavors we're talking about, they get complemented so well by these big dark beers. And even at only 5.3, it has such a fantastic depth to it as well, especially for this one as it warms up just a little bit. I'm sort of holding it in my hands here and revolving it round as well. And it does really just start to warm up and just come through so nicely on that flavor as well. Loving the smoky aroma there from Paul. Yeah, Callum, perfect head on the Badakers. I know it, for me, it just looks really just enticing almost. Dark beers, particularly, I always enjoy the look of. And this one, so much so as well. Gary and Joe, delicious. Smoky flavor really makes it. Yeah, definitely. And so we brewed this for a little while on cask. We've done it into keg. We did it in bottles a couple of times as well. And now for the first time in can, we thought as we were going through our range, it was one we really wanted to bring back. And it's been popular all over. We've done it into Sweden and Canada and other places over the years. And particularly in these kind of darker months, it's one that we know proves popular too. So Tina, new club glass, perfect for warming porters. Yeah, definitely. Anything in this sort of dark beer that you can really, like I say, just put your hands around the base of and really hold and warm up. For a dark beer, it's about perfect, I think, too. So, yeah, they've all started to go well. Badakers, well, originally was one of the names for Bakewell. So, of course, we brew out in Bakewell. If you haven't had the chance yet, please come and see us. I had some visitors over from a chain of Mexican retailers, really high end in Mexico City as well, came to see us in the brewery in Bakewell. So people do travel from far and wide and come and see us. It was a great honor to have them over. And yeah, we have the big tap room there. We have the pizzas, we have all of the beers, and of course the brewery and the experiences too. So if you do get the chance, please visit us in there. And so as we talk our way towards the last beer, which is the Pink Grapefruit Halcyon, and as always, keep any extra questions come in or anything like that as well. I'm gonna crack this one open. But as I crack this one open, Charlotte, did you earlier at the start, you mentioned there was an event, was we doing a tap takeover?
Yeah, we've got two coming up. One at the end of this month at, oh, sorry, my screen just went a bit. The Old Eastway Tap, that's on the 27th. And then early November on the 4th, we're at the Head of Steam in Sheffield. Yeah, that's it really. We've got quite a slow event season, but
it's definitely out of the full season where we've been non-stop. Thank you, Charlotte, as well for letting us know with those. And Charlotte Bully, our events coordinator, has been literally all over everywhere. I know we've bumped into quite a few of you the different events, so thank you for coming out and supporting them as well. It's always nice to see people in person or have people from Thornbridge Beer Club come and introduce themselves to any of the team. We've got Charlotte Bully and James and Phil and Alan will all be out and about as well too. So Stephen, any hints for the November box? 2-year anniversary of TVC. There will be something very special in your November box. I absolutely cannot say a word about it, but keep some excitement going for it. So yeah, there will be something to really celebrate with the 2-year anniversary in there too. So I am absolutely sworn secretly, but it'll be good. It'll be a very, very exciting box. Don't worry. And so, yeah, we did the exclusive of the Wild Raven, which was a big favorite. I mentioned one Sheffield Beer Festival 1 year as well. So yeah, no, but we will definitely keep an eye out for it. I won't run through the beers this time just yet. But the next beer we talk about, so we've got the 5 different beers in the box this month. So Pink Grapefruit Halcyon. This one is a real favorite, you know, of our beer club as well at the moment. It's been one of our first forays into 440ml can, actually. So we began, you know, we went from our bottles to our cans, and we were doing our kind of core beers in the 330s. And we looked at being able to put all of the, you know, the more fun and more exciting beers, maybe at least the seasonals that we were producing each month, into these 440mls. And Halcyon had been an absolute classic beer for us for many years. This 7.4% Imperial IPA. The brew we had at the time, you know, our Thornbridge Hall brew kit and our big Riverside kit, which had come along later. So they were brewing just on the Hall kit. They were sitting outside at Thornbridge Hall and talking about the halcyon days of you know, the halcyon days of beer, the halcyon days of, you know, country living, really, sitting outside in this fantastic rolling country estate. And so that's where the name Halcyon came from. They had the brew literally in the tanks there as they were just sitting outside, and thought that's a fantastic name for this big Imperial IPA. And so over the years, this was one of our real go-to beers. And one of the first beers to use such a full range in the UK. So it has hops from New Zealand, from England, America, and Australia. So it is really packed out. And over time as well, suddenly we thought, well, why not add a bit more fruit flavor to it? So the classic Halcyon has this great tropical note already. It's got this fantastic bitterness. Nowadays, of course, it's more described as that sort of West Coast style. But we said, okay, we can just bump onto there. So if anyone's ever had mango Halcyon, pineapple Halcyon, we've tried out lots of fun flavors with it as well. But Pink Grapefruit, when we first did it as, again, one of our first 440ml cans, was such a winner for us. And it's just fun to be able to bring it back occasionally as well. So we have, as you can see, this fantastic. So this one, actually, the color, the body, this is low color Maris Otter. It's a favorite malt of ours. You'll have heard me talk about it many times while we're working our way through Beer Club and these different beers, but it just helps to give such a balance. In Jaipur, for example, we have these huge, big American hops. And in the Halcyon, you know, I was listing there, the range of countries we get the hops from with Galaxy and Nelson, all sorts in here too. But it does hold that well. It doesn't get too sweet or too cloying with all those big flavors, but it just gives a nice light body to it. Gives that fantastic, for me, a very welcoming look. Again, of course, the nice head that it gives you too. And then as you go in, you're instantly struck by, there's that pink grapefruit, and even in the aroma, it's that kind of like pithy sort of sharpness almost that you get from a grapefruit. And it just plays all really fantastically well on top of everything else in there as well. So it's complementary. It's not going to cut through anything. It works perfectly in complementing those already existing flavors on there, right from the aroma through the palate as well. It's a favorite of mine, so I'm very pleased that it's come back as well too. So you get what we're saying on here. So everyone's trying it now. Alan, not currently. As you can imagine, the name of St. Petersburg isn't quite one we're going to be putting out at the moment. So we'll shy away from that. There'll be lots of big stouts and porters coming through over time. That beer specifically, unfortunately, at the minute is not one we want to be putting out, of course, as you can imagine. So if you're enjoying that, though, the big Pardus series that we do is certainly going to be coming along. There's going to be more versions of that, and the barrel-aged Necessary Evils as well. We will have some very special versions of those coming up, as always. So please keep your eyes peeled for those, for the big dark beers. Callum, get a big whiff of grapefruit as soon as you open the can. Yeah, exactly. And again, it just pop in my nose right in the glass there. And I think pith for me is how I'd explain it. But of course, you can put it your own terms and your own way as well. But it's sharp, it's fresh. and I think it works really well with it too. Tom, mango and pineapple, never say never. Of course, we're working our way through lots of things. They were both very popular flavors and additions to the Halcyon Imperial. So certainly, yeah, Huck as well. I miss Huck too. Huck was very good. And again, we've done it in the 440ml can since. There's certainly no plans to remove it from the seasonal range entirely as well. Yeah, sorry to disappoint you, Tom. It would be dangerous at 7.2, but it's even 7.4, so even more dangerous than you mentioned on there as well. So I hope you're not working too much tomorrow, but otherwise I'm sure you'll be okay. Heads up on Peakender tickets. Charlotte, have you got anything on looking ahead for Peakender? No, not. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Nothing set in stone yet. I think we're just getting the events out the way for this year, so I can imagine that after this Canberra festival this week, we'll probably start getting on it, hopefully before the end of this year, but I can't say for sure.
But don't worry, again, if you've been to Peakender previously, thanks, Charlotte, and a member of the beer club, you'll certainly get all the first notifications about everything going on sale regarding Peakender and all the events as well there. So Alan, no worries, of course. It was just one we thought for the time being definitely don't want to be putting on our socials and getting excited about. So Steve's still got a couple of bottles in the fridge. That's the way to do it. You keep them and enjoy them, but yes, unfortunately a little tricky at the moment. So Tom, quiet day, fortunately, good. You'll be all right then, Tom, even though it's 7.4 on that one as well. So yeah, that takes us through all of the different beers again within this box. So hopefully you've enjoyed them. You've got some favorites as well. You've got some more coming up. If you don't get the chance to come and see us next week in Sheffield, we'll be there enjoying lots of pale rider, but hopefully you do. Hopefully if you're in the area, you'll make it down to any of the Wednesday, Thursday, maybe the Friday as well, when the team will be there as well. Yeah, St. Pete's and kebabs as well. Nice, that sounds good. It is one, actually, kebabs I've never heard as one. That actually sounds pretty good. I'm down for that too. So Joe, good box this month. Thanks all. So yeah, thank you, Joe, as well. And thank you. I've appreciated all of the excitement there as well from people. Lots of people coming back and commenting tonight, which is always great to hear some excitement too. And please keep in touch with us. If you ever, email us, Facebook, Twitter, anything, get in touch with us that way. Oh, and happy birthday as well, Joe. Fantastic. Glad you enjoyed the extra birthday Jaipur in there. I'm Paul as well. Birthday balloon there. Happy birthday as well, Paul. Thank you both for joining us. I'm guessing somewhere around your birthdays as well too. So box is brilliant. Thank you, Alan. Most of these beers brewed on the smaller kit. No, so all of these beers, so the small kit is almost entirely just cask beer actually. So we do a full range of different casks on the cask beer, on the whole kit, which has now moved to Riverside and is now behind the tap room. And so, yeah, probably 99% of that coming out is cask at the moment. On the big facility, we do our cask Jaipur. There isn't really enough space to be able to make it worthwhile brewing it on the small kit. But then all of the big, all the canned beers, all the big bottle beers and everything else, they'll be coming off the main line as well, the Riverside one. As you can imagine, they're a lot more connected now. They're right next to each other there. But hopefully that answers that one for you there, Callum. So yes, it's actually something people ask about whether, if you brew a beer and put it in 440 mils and you brew, quite a lot at one time, can you be sure it'll be good? And for me, my job's made a lot easier because our brew team is very good. I can, as expo manager, we send these beers to numerous countries all around the world. And I'm able to go out and say, okay, these beers are coming out this month and next month. They're going to taste like this flavor profile. And they do. They turn up. We can send them out. So, yeah, we're very lucky with that. And part of it is brewing it on that big kit with, there's a full laboratory they have, a control room. Everything is computer led where they can check into the nth degree of every beer as well. So, yeah, everything comes through on there as well. And so then we got fine beers. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Simon. And yeah, thank you. Great box. So really pleased. Thank you, Ian. Glad you've enjoyed the birthday extras as well. Yeah, stout porter with chili con carne. That one definitely I've not had the kebabs, but I'm pretty intrigued by that. So I will try it. But yeah, for sure, chili definitely always goes well. And so it sounds good. And so I think are we still yeah. So after that, I just want to say thanks again to Alex for joining us and coming down to, you know, taste some beers with us this evening. Tell us all about Full Circle. Very excited for all those big barrel aged beers that you've got coming out. So we'll be keeping an eye on those as well. Thank you, Charlotte, for organising it and looking after us this evening. And thank you to everyone for joining us for another, you know, Thornbridge evening, talking through the beers. Please keep in touch with us right through the month, and hopefully we'll see you all again next month as well. So cheers, guys, and thank you all. Good night. Thank you.